A lot.
Welcome to Provides Foreman on Boxing TV show. Normally, we're in a studio somewhere, or we're in a hotel somewhere, in those confines. But today we're home, kind of in a relaxing mode. So we want to thank you for coming to our home with us, and we're going to talk a lot of boxing this evening because we have a lot of boxing to talk about. Normally, Rob Scott is with us. He's not here today, so it's just Harris Hates, our executive producer. He's volunteered to sit in and bring his knowledge to the sport of boxing. And we got, like I said, we got a lot of stuff to talk to you about. Harris Hates. Uh, let's start with this, Harris. Probably for the first time in about, I don't know, 6 or 7 years, maybe 8 years, boxing is at a height. Hype rather, but people are actually talking about the sport now.
How about that?
Now, we say Deontay Wilder this weekend may have lifted, brought it up a little bit with that one round
Right.
devastating knockout rather, of Dominic Brazil.
Right.
Now, let's start with that one first. Let's start with that because
Right.
we're going to get to Joshua
Mhm.
and then we're going to get to all the other guys. Let's start with the big guys first.
Right.
This was New York. This is like the media mecca.
Absolutely.
The statement was made by Wilder. I'm the best heavyweight. He went out, boom, one round, took care of business.
Right.
Next up, the Englander, or whatever he is. I don't know why I say Englander, but we'll call it from over across the water.
Right.
Joshua.
Right.
Does the opponent that Wilder had in Dominic Brazil, as opposed to the guy that Joshua has, Andy Ruiz, decent fighter, good record, 34-1, I think, or 35-1 now. So, but does the talent that either one of these guys have? Because remember, as I think it's Big Baby Miller, Anthony Miller, whatever his
Right,
name was,
right.
was due to be supposed to have been.
Mhm.
So now, and both of these guys kind of took guys that was fit in.
Right.
So does the talent fit the hype that either one of these guys have? Like I said, Wilder did what he's supposed to do.
Right.
He's supposed to blow out a guy.
Right.
Right? That's
Right.
what it, guys he's not in your league, then you blow him out.
True.
Okay, so now Joshua has Ruiz, not Miller. Now, but does the talent that these guys are going in against do they deserve the hype? Because they're not fighting each other.
Absolutely not. I think that validates the excitement in boxing that we put together all sorts of cards now that stimulate excitement
Mm-hmm.
because there are really no fights to mention anymore that are really on that caliber. So you kind of want fights to be that exciting. So the matchmakers are putting together fights and they're hyping them that anyone that watches the game sees like Brazil, like the last couple of fights that Brazil was in, he was in trouble in those fights.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you knew that he was soft. He was prone to get knocked out at some point in his career. Just like what Wilder did to him. And so, to me, that was really no surprise. He really only came on in the later rounds against fighters and then won. But he was in trouble a lot of his, the fights that I observed him fighting in. So that fight was overhyped. And I think Andy Ruiz
Yeah, that's who Joshua.
he's a tough guy though. I mean, I don't see him get knocked out, in the first round or anything like that. I think I see him giving Joshua a fight, but again, as you said, the level of talent is not equally matched.
Well, Dominic holds one distinction. He's been knocked out by two heavyweight champions. Joshua knocked him out a couple of years ago.
Exactly.
I think it was about 2 years ago.
Exactly.
And now Wilder just finished him up.
Exactly.
Andy Ruiz, I don't think he fought the Russian kid his last fight. Pretty good, supposedly a pretty good fighter.
Right.
Beat him, did what he's supposed to do, stopped him.
Right.
Anthony Miller, who again, I keep going back to him because I think the disappointment is that New York and people in boxing want to see a guy from New York
Yeah.
basically fight for the title, right?
Yeah.
So when you start looking at that, it's like, okay, we're so disappointed, and now we'll have to take a replacement. But then Joshua becomes the question mark again because Tyson Fury is still out there. And
Absolutely.
he just took Wilder. He just took Wilder to he stretched, there was a fight a lot of people thought he had until Wilder dropped him in those two times and kind of equaled the rounds out.
Absolutely.
And it wound up being a draw. But everybody, you included, thought that Wilder lost that fight.
Absolutely.
So now Anthony Joshua is coming here. He's got to make a statement. If he doesn't knock Andy Ruiz out, or Ruiz winds up giving him a better fight, which we're all hoping happen, because people are paying out. Those tickets in New York are gone,
Right.
from my understanding, sold out. And we know how the British people fly over with their fighters. The people in the
Absolutely.
United States, they support their guys. They're going to probably bring 5, 6, 7,000 people
Absolutely.
over here to support this guy.
Absolutely.
But he's coming to the mecca of boxing, which is, even though Vegas has done a lot, but New York still has that.
Aura.
Yeah, has that aura.
Absolutely.
You're in New York, man. You're walking down the streets, and the lights, the big lights. Then you look up,
On
you see
Broadway.
and you see your picture up there. It's like, oh, I got to do this thing. So the heavyweight division, I won't say it's in a flux because we do have these champs. We got 3 guys, maybe 4. There's a couple of guys, young guys that's coming up. I like the kid Michael Washington, Michael Hunter, who's his dad was a former boxer, bounty hunter, and this kid's making his way along the way. There's a couple of others, like I said, we don't have the big names because I think that with what's been missing, even though Fox Television and ESPN developed the app, which you still have to pay to watch it.
Right.
Fox has done a pretty decent job of putting on fights through the PBC.
Right.
I don't know how long it's going to last,
Right.
but they're still basically using the same fighters.
Right.
So we're still not seeing a plethora of other fighters, guys from New York, the Texas or other places. There's just the name guys. Nobody's building up fighters. They're just still at this moment, and I think that's what happened to the heavyweight division before.
Absolutely.
Nobody, after the Tyson fell off, Holyfield fell off, Riddick Bowe fell off.
Right.
Nobody did anything to bring it back.
That's true.
So we went through this lull, at least in the heavyweight division.
Right.
So let's hope that we can get the fight that we need. I still don't. I said that fight would not take place before 2020, and maybe even 21, because I know, the guys that's holding these titles, it's their chance of making the best money they can.
Joshua Wilder.
Joshua Wilder, I'm speaking of. I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm.
Joshua Wilder or Fury Wilder. Let's that little trilogy.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think you said yesterday that maybe Joshua and Wilder should fight, and then the winner should fight. I'm sorry, Joshua and Fury should fight,
Right.
and then the winner fight Wilder. Well, if that fight between Joshua and Fury takes place over in the UK, forget about it. That's a 100,000 seater that's sold out. They'll make so much money they won't even want to see.
And that's an interesting synopsis. I'm glad you brought that up because I was reading today about I believe his manager is Eddie Cunningham. Is that him?
Hearns, man,
For Joshua?
Hearns.
Oh, okay.
Hearns, yeah, Eddie Hearns.
Well, yeah. So, but what they're trying to do is negotiate, and this is interesting, for you and I as former managers, that they're trying to negotiate a fight that is not a return bout in terms of losing, but a return bout in terms of revenue. So, in other words, you and I, would try to, stipulate that we want a rematch clause in the contract, but the rematch would be based on the fact that if we lose our title, we want a chance to get it back.
Okay.
But now they're trying to negotiate a 2-fight deal in one contract based on revenue. Because they want the fight in New York and they want
to take it to the UK.
And they're saying that straight out. They're saying, no matter who wins, but those things are predicated and dictated by the fans. So in other words, if let's just say Wilder destroys Joshua, the fans might not want to see a fight in London, regardless of
wherever it takes place first.
They
right.
might want to see the second
If
fight.
it's not coming, if he destroys him in the UK, they're not going to sit in New York.
Exactly.
Unless there's something controversial about it.
Exactly.
He hits him in the back of the head, kicks him with a knee. I don't know.
Exactly.
But those are the kind of things that have to happen.
Exactly.
Now, that's interesting you say because Hearns almost serves in dual capacity with Joshua, right? He's a promoter and he's a manager. Basically, in boxing is illegal. Maybe not in the UK. Maybe not in the UK, but over here it is.
Yes.
I mean, but if you look at the monies that's there,
Right.
I mean, I don't think the numbers are anywhere near that they're tossing around for these guys. They keep saying this 100 million, like for Pacquiao and Floyd, right?
Right.
I just don't think it's there. And the reason I don't think it's there is because, as we stated earlier, neither one of these guys have really had that statement fight between against anybody else. Maybe Wilder with Fury, but people thought he lost it. Draw, but maybe him more than Josh. Joshua fought Klitschko, but Klitschko was like 40 something at the time. Not saying that the 40 years ago, because Klitschko's even thinking about coming back again. So in that case, now he spits back because of course he's been the champion, and he says I deserve this opportunity to fight for the championship again, right? But he's going to have to. Will they make him have a tune-up or something? Who knows? But knowing how these organizations work, if he steps into the game, it's a lot of money, so they're going to give him a shot at it. I don't doubt that anyway. But anyway, to go back to these two, if Wilder beats Fury here, beats Joshua here,
Right.
and it's a second round, third round knockout. Now, if it's a bang, 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 shoot 'em up, hey, you got a good shot at a rematch in the UK, because he's gonna say, I bring you over here, at home. Maybe I can do it again in front of my fans. It makes kind of sense. It's not fair to the other guys,
Right.
but we know that revenue is what drives these fights in the first place.
Absolutely. And what's interesting is, and I meant to talk to you off camera about this, because your brother, George, there's an article that I read today that said that George believes that the Wilder Joshua fight is going to be bigger than Ali Frazier, and that the revenue could be 300 million apiece.
See, in the UK, I can see that money generated.
Absolutely.
They've had a difficult time reaching the numbers of 1 million, whatever their number would need
Right.
here in the States, since Manny and Floyd. I don't think here, over there, I have no doubt that fight would generate. That's why I think that that Joshua people are going to sit back and say, look, you're making $2 million, $3 million fighting here. Come on over here, make some real money. We'll send you back home. We'll take your belts and send you back home. We're gonna send you back home with a real nice payday.
Exactly.
I'm thinking. I don't know. We just talking hypothetically.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
that's one of those things about it. But for the first time in a number of years,
Mhm.
the heavyweight division is being talked about.
Absolutely.
And like I said again, it's thanks to Wilder this past weekend, and of course the big boy Anthony Joshua. That's gonna be a heck of a fight. These are big guys, man. Two big guys.
One thing, and we talk about it. We've talked about it on other broadcasts, and that these fights could generate that type of revenue, even with, and we know that in our estimation, and I'll just say personally, in my personal estimation, neither one of those are on the level of an Ali or a Frazier.
No.
Okay,
no.
but my point is that they don't have to be, because the fans are so thirsty to see quality fighting, and so the missing element is marketing.
Yeah.
And we always talk about that. We talk about the fact that George and Muhammad and Ken Norton and Joe Frazier, they were marketed by ABC.
Yeah.
And they were marketed as people. They weren't marketed as fighters.
Exactly.
So the people knew them as people, and they were like, that's when records go out the window.
Mm-hmm.
You and I both know, and we didn't care
they
that
don't care
Norton had 4 or 5 losses.
Doesn't matter.
Now
matter.
the drawing card to fights are the people's records, because they don't know the fighters. If a person has 3 or 4 losses, they're like, and that's really what the problem is, because if it was marketed correctly, it wouldn't matter what the records were, and the attendance numbers would be, astronomical as they were back in the day.
This is the funny thing, and I was talking with Don Elbar,
Mhm.
a friend of ours that
Mhm.
we've been. Matter of fact, we're going to talk about Don and I read later.
Absolutely.
But he and I was talking about those fights in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Back then it was pay-per-view. I mean, not pay-per-view. It was
Closed
closed-circuit television.
That's right.
You had arenas around the country that had 15, 20,000 people in 1,000 arenas around the country. That was telling how much around the world. I'm sorry, not around the world.
Exactly.
So that means people had to leave their house
That's right.
to go out.
That's right.
Probably hundreds of more people seeing those fights than any of these that's being broadcast by pay-per-view
That's
now,
true.
because people just sitting at home turning to the box, and if it's one person there, 2 person. Well, back then you couldn't share.
That's
You had
true.
to go in, you had
That's
to pay
right.
that $29.95
That's right.
or whatever it was to see that
To see the
fight.
fight, that's
And
right.
I'm wondering today, because of all the social media, the numbers will be big, because the zone now has a thing where you can pick up your telephone and
Mhm.
do this, and kids can watch it, and everybody
Exactly.
can look at it. You don't have to be home anymore.
Right.
The numbers are big,
Right.
but is it generated because of the action or because of the social media that is presented? That's what I mean. if that makes sense. Because it's so easy for me to pick up my phone and look at something. I'm not home, but I'm yeah. I remember when doing the Mayweather fight people out to dinner, they had paid for it, but
That's right.
yeah, they were trying, a lot of them were trying to, they had the cable system where they could turn to their phone and
Run the
look at
phone,
it.
right.
Yeah. So I don't know if the interest is there. The money is because of the dollars. Yeah. I think worldwide it probably does generate $300 million. I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. I just don't think it has the capabilities of it. I just don't think that the popularity of these two guys today, as you said, because a lot of them are not known. And
Absolutely.
these days, Wilder seems to think that a fight gets you more well known. Fight in the streets with somebody gets you more well known than anything else.
Well, what does Don say? All press is good press. so, but I think that, we would be remiss if we didn't state that this is against us.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that ABC, once Ali's contract, and we use Ali as because Ali was the pinnacle.
Yeah.
He was actually
He was
the
the
person
popular
that
guy,
did right.
yeah.
He was the person that really made
Drove
everything go.
Mm-hmm.
So when his contract expired at ABC, he was the first person to delve into the closed circuit
Yeah.
realm, and ABC was furious
Yeah.
because they branded this man. They put
Right.
all of this money and this advertising and marketing into Muhammad Ali and made him who he was. I mean, even the transition from Cassius Clay
Yeah.
to Muhammad
Muhammad
Ali,
Ali, right.
they did that.
Yeah, that's right.
And so then, once his contract was up, he walked away from ABC and started generating his own money, kind of like what Floyd did. But and the model was Muhammad Ali. And so then ABC said, well, we're not going to market these black men so that they become household names and brands, and then they can just walk away from us, and then we don't get any, we stop, they can't do business with us anymore, we can't do business with them, actually. So we're going to stop promoting them personally. And that's what you have now. You have fighters that, when the cameras come in, they go to the locker room, they talk to them in the locker room, excuse me, how you doing? What do you think about tonight's fight? You might have your baby in there with you or whatever, your wife, they show the picture or whatever, and that's it.
Yeah.
And so the fans don't know these fighters. They don't really know them.
Well, ABC called it up close and personal.
Exactly.
And that's what they did.
Exactly.
They went to their home, like you said, went out to the home.
Exactly.
They went to the school, wherever they was working. In some
Exactly.
place they went out and found this guy. And I think that even with social media, I think that's the thing that's missing now.
Absolutely.
And which brings us now again and talking about popularity, we go down to the middleweight guy, to the smaller guys, I should say. And we stop with Canelo Alvarez, right? Who signed this massive contract with the Zone, Dazn. I haven't figured out exactly what to pronounce it. It's DAZN, but some people say it's the Zone, short
Yeah,
these
yeah.
days. Then some people say it looks like Dazn to
Yeah.
me, but I don't know.
Right,
But whatever
right.
it is, the money is amazing. The money is amazing. But he signed this terrific contract with them. He's had, I think, 3 fights now, under that 2 or 3 fights under that contract now. He just fought Jacobs, and a lot of people actually thought, well, yes, like I say, ESPN, Dan Raphael actually gave the fight to Jacobs,
Right.
which was surprising.
Right.
But some people said, well, it could have went either way. Then, I think the score was like 114, 112, 115, 113. So it was a very close fight, a lot closer than what people thought. I wasn't surprised about it because I think that the size of Jacobs compared more to Canelo than anybody else had.
Right.
Because he was like a 160,
Right.
I think it was, something like that. And Canelo he's fought anywhere from 47
Right.
when he fought Floyd, 54, 60, when he fought Golovkin. So, here's a guy who seems to be, I don't want to say the biggest name in the sport. He may very well be the biggest name
Yeah,
in the
at
sport.
this point.
He's definitely making more money. But where does he go? Because people keep saying, you talk to boxing public, right? They say, well, we want to see Canelo fight one of the Charlos. Canelo, like, I don't, but you see they keep kind of going around the circle with them because, like, they'll say, you don't kill the golden goose.
Exactly.
And so they have to be
Exactly.
careful with
Exactly.
that. I think that Charlo, in losing that fight that he did to Williams back in a few months back at the Garden, at the Barclays, might have been a good thing for him because maybe, just maybe, he's been put in the, in the eyesight of that.
Exactly.
But now, Canelo seems to be waiting on to see what happened with Golovkin again because that fight has been the money generator for them. Fight number 3, 1, 2, first one draw, next one Canelo, third one there. So, but the IBF just sent him a mandatory letter a couple of days ago saying, no, you've got to defend our title. Now, what do you do?
Well,
As a manager, what do you do with your fighter?
I think that these days you have to defend your title. I think that the days of vacating your title are over based on the fact that you don't have the popularity.
Mm-hmm.
See, if you're Floyd Mayweather, you don't need the WBC title.
Right.
You don't need the WBA title because
Mm-hmm.
you're Floyd Mayweather.
Right.
And the drawing card is you. You're the marketing plan. But when you're someone like Canelo, he needs that belt. I mean, as popular as he is, this still needs to be billed as a championship fight to get our attention.
Mm-hmm.
He might get his own base's attention, but to get that mega fight attention, it has to be a world championship fight. And I think that that's the irony in it is that maybe the fighters aren't marketed the way they were in the past, and that is hurting the sport in terms of the popularity of the fighters. But what it is doing is it's making the fighters understand that the game they're not bigger than the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, finally, I'm thinking that's what's happening.
Yeah.
I really am.
Yeah.
Because people, when you look at like Canelo, and you look at, it seems to be that the overall boxing public, and not Canelo's brand, because you say he has his brand.
Right.
People, it's a script, and they're buying it every month. That thing is
Absolutely.
being done. But people look at one of the Charlos, I think it's Jamel, I can never know which one, but whichever one is in his weight division, they're looking at him as saying, well, why don't he fight him? And a lot of people thought that Charlo got robbed in the fight against Williams. I don't want to use the term robbed. I just think that he made a mistake of not completing rounds, and the guy Williams was the champion. And I mean, and that's one of those saying, sometimes it never changes. You got to go take the champion's belt. I don't think that, I don't know. I don't think that Williams did enough to take his belt, but at the same time, I believe that Williams did enough to stay into the fight longer, the whole 3 minutes,
Right.
whereas Charlo tended to stop and look at himself,
Right.
take a picture, and his boy come back.
Absolutely.
Rematch, I think you see a different thing. I think Charlo beats him again.
Mm-hmm.
Would that deserve, if he knocks him out early, then you don't look at a rematch. But if the
Mhm.
fight goes the distance again, you have the same thing, then you almost have to look at a rematch.
Absolutely.
But Golovkin has been Triple G, as everybody calls it,
Mhm.
has been the name in which Canelo has made his bigger name for the last 2 years now.
Definitely.
Now, you look at Canelo is fighting, I forget the name of the guy, he's fighting somebody, every year he fights, what is it, Cinco de Mayo.
Mhm.
That's his thing. So it's
Mhm.
the fact that the IBF is saying you have to sign a contract with somebody by August the 4th. Well, if he fights May 20th, unless it's a one-round knockout, I don't see it happening.
Yeah,
Because his
it's not
mandatory is a guy
Yeah.
from, is one of the foreign Russian fighters, maybe living in America, but he's Dayastrenko, and I don't even try to pronounce their names. It's like, because it's
He's
not
fighting
his
a rated fighter.
he's fighting the number 1 contender. It's a guy with he got like 5 not alphabets, it's letters in his name.
Right.
DYSTKL. I don't even understand how
Right.
to get a word out of that.
Right.
But they do. They get a
Yeah.
name out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's who he's fighting.
Right.
Chinko or something like that. So when you start looking at this, if he says, okay, I need an extension, and chances are the IBF would do it, because we do know one thing, that more than anything else, what do those sanctioning bodies like? They're sanctioning money. So,
That's right.
and they realize if he's fighting, it's going to be a lot of money behind
That's
it.
right.
So it's worth giving him an extension. So it may be all a lot about nothing. At least that's what I think anyway.
Exactly.
But it's going to be interesting. What Golovkin has a fight coming up. So should he win his, then just maybe you'll see a third fight sometime between September, which is Mexican Independence holiday or
Mhm.
something like that. 'Cause they got two. You got Cinco de Mayo, which is May, and I don't know what the difference in that one. But then you got Mexican, which is in September. So you got a chance to see that fight one more time sometime this year, either September or in the fall.
And that's kind of that fight is my point. Golovkin and Canelo, they're fighting for no title. Like even if they're fighting for the title, on the street that fight's not like, oh, I gotta see that fight. They haven't reached that plateau yet. So that's my point is Canelo needs his title to validate that he's champion, to draw more people from outside of his base to him, so he can get those those mega fights.
He's only had one Floyd so far.
Exactly,
His mega fight.
and that was because of Floyd Mayweather.
Because of
You
Floyd
know,
Mayweather.
I mean, and the fighter people love to hate.
Yeah.
And so, but that's my point, is that now we're in the age where people aren't. We used to see it all the time.
Yeah.
Here to take him out.
That's right.
I'll say about $250,000.
That's right. Larry Holmes was the first one to say, "Hey, toss it aside. I'm going to fight this guy here because this is the fight. This is the money fight right here." So, now with all of this taking place, that's the middleweight division. Then we drop down a little bit. We go to the welterweight division. You got Earl Spence, Thurman, who's fighting Manny Pacquiao, and I'm becoming a Manny Pacquiao fan all over again.
Absolutely.
You have to.
Yeah, you have
So
to.
this guy is 40 years old, somewhere in the neighborhood. He's fighting everybody. He's
Out
fighting the
hustling
young and out
everybody.
hustling everybody. I mean, I tried, after Floyd, they had the excuse, oh, my shoulder was hurt. Maybe it was something to that. I'm not saying he would have beat Floyd, because I don't know. I think the Manny 5 years before that gives Floyd a hell of a fight.
Absolutely.
Now that night, it can be intimidating. Floyd is the kind of guy, man, you think until you get in there with him.
That's right.
Then you can realize this guy is like a magician when it comes to making you miss and blocking and things like
Absolutely.
that. So, but Manny Pacquiao, he disappointed fans. Not to mention he got knocked out by Marquez, before that too. But that shows you his popularity, because after getting flattened by it, it's one thing to lose a fight.
Yeah.
Man, they knocked the
Yeah.
dude out so cold,
Yeah.
they had turned the lights off.
They
He
had
was
to
still
carry
letting
him
him
out.
fight. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was able to fight. Everybody was going home, and he was still laying on the
Yeah,
camera.
that's-
But look at what happened.
Yeah.
He came back, got to fight with Floyd Mayweather, and they made he made $100 million.
That might be what one time needs, because the last couple of fights that I've seen Thurman, he just doesn't look interested. He looks like he's gotten the money, he's gotten the fame, and now he's just going through the motions. And I know that you and I talked about it off camera. We were talking about the fact that he said he's blaming it on his shoulder and stuff like that. And you made an interesting point that is absolutely correct. If you get in a street fight, but you're going to talk about my shoulder,
Exactly.
but the bottom line is that don't sign the contract if you can't perform.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? It's one thing that and we were discussing. I remember when we fought for our second world title, and Steve broke his hand in the fight. Now that's an injury that was sustained, during the fight. And even George had knee surgery before the fight. But George knew that he was going to perform at a certain level, regardless of the knee. And Steve knew that once he broke his hand in the fight, he was going to perform. That's a different mindset. But if you're going to use those injuries as an excuse, then don't sign the contract.
Don't do it, right.
And certainly, whatever happens in a fight, that's what happens if you get in there. And I think it's interesting, but that might help Thurman to get knocked out, so he regains his hunger. Because to me, he looks distracted.
Yeah,
he doesn't look interested anymore.
I think that a fight with Manny Pacquiao, this is his pinnacle here. It wasn't the fight with Broner, none of the fight with Porter. This, or even Garcia.
He's motivated for this fight.
It's got to be motivated. Now, July 20th is like right around the.
Yeah,
that's a big fight. You're fighting at this point in time in his career, he's actually fighting a legend.
Absolutely.
A legend.
Absolutely.
And man, that's why I say I've become a Manny Pacquiao fan all over again, man. Because this guy has shown me that if you stay, he got robbed in Australia. He didn't let it bother him. He came back. He won the fight. Then he came back. He took a younger, what they call him, the problem, which he is a problem. Bro, he is a problem. He's shown that, but he's more of a problem for himself than he is for anything else.
Right.
But you have to say that Manny has taken this level in the 147-pound division, the 154-pound division, to another level. Because he's decided, I'm a fighter. This is what I do. And he seems like he likes it again.
Absolutely.
And like you said about Thurman not being, like he's not interested. Whereas Manny seems like, hey, he was down, I saw him in Dallas with the Earl Spence fight. And he offered Spence, they said, we'll give you $18 million. I'm trying to figure why this contract wasn't signed right then. But, sometimes people look and say, man, that's not an ordinary man. The Mikey Garcia, and let's go to Spence. The Mikey Garcia fight was one, which I thought it would be anyway. You had a guy that came up from 130, basically 135. Right? So, and a lot, but, I give Garcia credit maybe in his mind he thought, hey, if I can do this, if I can upset this guy, I can become that one that they're talking about tomorrow. It was a heck of a mountain to climb, and he didn't quite get there. He made a nice payday, but he didn't get there.
It's like when we fought James Stoney.
Yeah, right. I mean, you don't quite get there, but you got there.
Yeah, exactly.
But they brought 50,000 people
Right.
to Dallas.
Right.
In the cowboy thing, man, that's a lot. 50,000 people.
Yeah.
So, and I think that number's only superseded by when Pacquiao fought Clottey, which
Right.
was 55,000, something like that.
Right.
So it lets you know that should Thurman and Pacquiao fight, the next fight should probably be, well, Spencer's been calling for Thurman anyway. He's saying I've been wanting the best, he's a champion. I mean, he's the best, so he's the one that clear it up. But at the end of the day, I always say it's called prize fighting. And, you go for the bigger prize.
Yeah.
But somewhere, Harris, along the way, these fighters have got to look at the point, as you said, giving up belts and titles is not as popular. You got to, for the respect of the sport, it's like, you got to fight the best.
That's right.
Somewhere.
That's right.
The Lakers and the Celtics, for years, they were the best. The best two met every time.
That's right.
And you knew that once a year, regardless how many games they played in between the season, you knew that at the end of the season, the two best teams was going to be playing with each other. And I think that's what we have to see with in boxing now. Somewhere along the way, I think these organizations should make it a yearly thing. You have to fight the number one guy and throw away all this stuff about how much money you're going to get for this guy and that guy. But Errol Spence right now, to me, I like Thurman. I like Garcia. I like Broner just out of the picture.
What about Terrence Crawford?
And I want
Are you talking pound for pound?
Well, I'm going to just stick at the 40. Well, I guess Crawford's in the 40. I was going to bring him up.
Mm-hmm.
But, okay, let's go to the pound for pound.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't think, personally, Crawford's shown everything that you could show, right, in a fighter. He's got it. I don't think he beats Errol Spence.
I don't either.
I don't think he beats
I don't
Errol
think-
Spence.
I don't
I
think-
like him.
Motor.
Yeah. I
Motor.
mean, yeah. I mean, Errol Spence is this, and I know his promoter very well. I mean, his manager, Derek James, he fought for me a few times back in the 90s when he was boxing professionally. And he's really did a fantastic job with this kid. But this kid was a terrific athlete when he came in the door, who he took and made into a good boxer and a good fighter.
Right.
I just don't. Terrence Crawford is that guy that's at a one, because to me, I think he ran away from Lomachenko myself. But Aaron may have been smart because he knows that
Played with the
Lomachenko.
golden goose.
Yeah, again, he's got two of them. Lomachenko here
Right.
at 35.
Right.
Crawford says I'm going up, and he said, and Lomachenko says I go to 140. When Crawford says I go to 147. So now are they chasing him? Is he chasing him? I don't know. But I like Crawford. I think it's a good fight because I think as a wiry kid, he's athletic and he's confident. I don't think he beat Errol Spence.
I don't either.
I think he had a better chance against a guy like a Danny Garcia.
Right.
Or maybe even
I think he beats everybody else except Errol Smith.
I do too.
Spence.
I agree.
Because Spence has that motor. He's just he's busier.
He
in
can
the ring.
turn it up a level.
Exactly.
He can turn it up
Exactly.
a level, and that's the one thing that I think that we haven't had. In that lightweight division.
Right.
You talk about you got Lomachenko down here, and he's beaten pretty much everybody he could at his weight. So he's pretty much got to move up.
Right.
But then I want to mention Hurd for a moment because Hurd fought last weekend too, and he seems to be the one guy that's kind of left out of the question mark in this whole thing. He got beat, like he was beaten, but when you talk about motivation, Harris, I think you're looking at a guy that had been here for so long and nobody would fight him. I really think that he kind of lost his motivation. And he was at home.
That that can happen.
And it can happen.
We know that can happen.
Yeah, we know that can happen, and I think that's what happened with him, because they fought the guy, and the guy said, "Next time we got to go to my home fight," right? Well, that was a nice thing, but I think that particular night, or even leading up to that, because he's been kind of like disrespected in some way, because nobody talks about it. Nobody when it came up, boxing pundits, yeah, but when in general it's always the Garcias, Thurman,
Nobody want to fight him.
Nobody want to fight him. Nobody wants to fight him. So today, you got the top 4 welterweights. Then you got the junior welterweight that's basically moved up in Crawford and controlling everything. Now, what happens at 57? After a while, 47 is that these guys say, okay, I've done this now. You gotta, I gotta move up because maybe I'm wondering, thinking that after Spence, and maybe I'm jumping the gun, but after Spence beats everybody at 147, does he decide to go up to 154? Or does he decide to call it a day, say I'm retired, I've cleaned out my division?
He's
But
gonna go up.
we know boxing, and we know how
He's
boxing
gonna
is
go
going
up.
to go up because they're going to call him. And there had been talk at one time, I do know this, at 54, or a possible fight between him and Canelo Alvarez. If he's continually undefeated, that's a super fight. That's a super fight. Canelo is only 29, I think, years old, 28, 29, young kid. You know, he's probably one of the few fighters today, if he stays active, in the next 5 years, this guy will have about 75 fights, if he stays fighting. I think his record is something like, he's won a bunch of fights now. So he has a potential to reach. You don't see fighters these days reaching that level.
Yes.
But he signed a contract with that thing, and they're paying him a bunch of money. So I can see him, as long as he's able to pick his the opponents that he wants, be safe, and when you get the type of popularity and putting out the money that they're putting out there for the guys, I think he make it. Golden Boy. It's kind of funny when I look at Oscar now, as opposed to Oscar the boxer, right? And Oscar the boxer,
Right.
Yeah, they're saying, "Oh, I'm this, I want
Right.
this, and I want to fight the best, and I want to do the best."
Right.
Now Oscar the promoter is saying, "Well, we just want to fight what makes sense for us out there." it kind of changes the whole game.
thing.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Changes the whole
Exactly.
thing. The promoters these days, you got Hearn, you talked earlier about Eddie Hearns, Oscar. Aaron is still out there. You got what's the guy with the PBC, the Ghost Man they call him,
Oh,
Heyman,
yeah.
Al Heyman,
Al Heyman.
right? You got the Ghost,
Yeah.
who's out there pulling strings some kind of way, but eventually, his strings are gonna run out too, because the strings on the puppet are gonna run out too. So you got to figure out a way to make this thing happen. As I said, I'd like to see two things in boxing. I'd like to see, first of all, well, maybe I should say three. I'd like to see them go back down to single weights. I'd like to see a heavyweight, light heavyweight, middle welter.
Eliminate the catch.
Eliminate the catch weights. I think that's still to this day a problem with boxing, because if a guy wants to say I'm fighting pro at 135, then fight at 135. Be a lightweight.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But don't fight 139 or 140. Say I'm a super lightweight now. A 140. Clear out. Make it straight.
I agree.
I think you had. Now I really believe, and I could be wrong because I'm a little older probably than most people that watch this sport nowadays. But I think that you had better fights when you had guys fighting at those weights. It wasn't a thing where Sugar Ray Robinson didn't try to fight a weight. He moved up from welterweight and fought. He made the weight. He fought when he became champion. He fought a middleweight.
Absolutely.
That's what he did. Then he said, I'm going to light heavyweight. He went up to 167. He lost the fight because of heat frustration. He was winning the fight. It was too hot and he lost weight. But guys back then, Archie Moore, certain ones, there's a lot of them I can name, but the Mickey Walkers and all those guys, man, in those period of times, in those lighter weights, they stayed there because it was the idea was to become king of my division. Not the next one. I'm the best lightweight in the world.
Exactly.
And maybe at some point, okay,
Exactly.
you beating everybody, now move up. If you you make a challenge, as it's called. But I think that thing of having a super lightweight, junior lightweight, I just think
You know what it is? It's and you just give me your opinion. This is what I think. Just based on experience, is the weight is based on as fighters get older. Well, first and foremost, fighters are not gym rats anymore.
No.
Like the era of Bernard Hopkins and Floyd Mayweather is over. And so if a fighter's not a gym rat, then it's hard for him to stay at his weight. And as they get older, they get they naturally get bigger, and then they don't want to get that weight off, to stay in the division. And so then look how long it took, Bernard, to lead the middleweight division. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he was a gym rat, because he was always in shape, but eventually, Mother Time or, Father Time or whatever, dictated that it was time for him to move up. But, I think that's really what it is. I think that as the fighters get older, but in this era, fighters are not gym rats. So because they you know, I mean,
It's funny you should say that though, because you can go to a gym, right? And I'm talking about a 4-round fighter, a guy that's just a preliminary guy, and he's in the gym, maybe in the bag, he's not doing much. I said, "Well, you got to fight." "Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna start training like this for a fight." You train every day, as if you got to fight next week.
absolutely.
You know, that's the whole idea. I was talking to Donnie Elbaum earlier, and he told me today, and he said, the problem now is you got a lot of trainers, but you have no teachers
Yeah, that's right.
in the boxing
That's
game.
right.
Nobody's teaching. So what you have to be able to do, I think that the confidence that you give a fighter, if a fighter, it's like going to school.
Right.
Ray Arcel, the great trainer of Roberto Duran, back in about 1988, I was at a thing up here with Lake Placid, and we went to a camp, a seminar that he had up there. And I remember this one thing he said about that. He says, the gym is like a school. The more you go there, the more you learn.
Exactly.
See, and I know that sometimes these guys have to work if they're not, because everybody, regardless of what people think, a lot of these fighters are not fighters. You know, they don't have people putting money in their pocket, so they do have to work for a living.
That's right.
That's, you know,
That's
so
right.
I understand. And sometimes maybe you're too tired when you get off of work, you put 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, or whatever. So you kind of have to, you know, I don't feel like going today or tomorrow, but you've got to put some time to learn.
That's right.
You're not going to learn if you decide I'm not going, I'm going to take off this week and then
That's right.
2 weeks, but I'm waiting to get me a fight before I train.
Right.
Going to school means you're going to school to learn
That's right.
every day.
That's right.
Every day. And I think that the best of trainers have to input that to a young fighter to let him know this is something we do 5-6 days a week.
And that makes it easier to stay at your weight.
Yeah,
You don't,
it
you know,
does.
it's like, you know, you don't have to, you know, lose 20 pounds and get down to your fighting weight, you know, before every fight.
It's nothing like seeing a guy fights at 130 being 145.
Yeah.
Or 140, so I got to drop 15 pounds. Whoa. You know, there's no way you should be. And do you want to fight 130 or you want to fight 147? That's just the way it has to be. And I don't think there's enough. I look at, and you brought up James Toney, and I want to, it's going to come to me the remark I want to make on that. But here was James Toney, really to me, and even really Bo to a point, really got a little lazy once he got the title.
Mm-hmm.
But James Toney to me may have been, and I'm going to say even beyond Floyd, better than Floyd. James Toney may have been one of the slickest boxers that put on the paddle.
Yeah, he was.
This guy was,
Yeah.
sometimes his head,
Yeah,
you know,
Yeah.
he got to, because he was he had a high temper.
yeah. He beat us on skill.
Yeah, on skill.
He did.
Man, the
He
guy,
beat us on skill.
he had one of the best trainers and personality you ever had in the game. I like Bernard's trainer, Brewer Fisher.
Mm-hmm.
Fisher was a great old school
Mhm.
type guy too. Taught Bernard a lot. You know, Bernard learned so much from him, but Bernard lasted long enough to learn it himself. So later on, maybe I don't need you anymore, and that's fine. That's, you know, you have that right to move on to do it yourself, or, you know, you get you another trainer, or maybe someone that's going to take a little less money,
Mhm.
like what's the young guy, like Galakin, I think just went through with his trainer.
Mhm.
Just you know, say, hey, I'm changing trainers.
Mhm.
You have that option to do that. But when I think about a James Toney, a pure boxer that knew how to slip punches,
Right.
block, deliver shots.
Yeah.
You know, could do everything. Just make it. Even in the fight with Roy Jones, you know, Roy was an exceptional talent, just naturally exceptional.
Mhm.
But James learned, and that's something Percy Miller told me.
Yeah.
You know, he said this kid came in the gym, and he learned. He wanted to learn everything about slipping punches, blocking punches. You know, making a move, where your feet position should be. If you look at James Toney in every fight that he's had, that once became, you know, before champion, but prior to winning the title, really, you just seen a fighter that's complete. And it was going to take at his weight now. I'm not talking about the James Toney went up to, even went up to 240 pounds or whatever, he was still beating guys. Because that's what made it so exceptional when he went to heavyweight.
Absolutely.
Because he had learned the sport.
Absolutely.
And he knew it. There's not many guys like that around. And I think that I would like to, my second point in boxing would be, I think it's time for, every sport has been regulated in some way. Boxing is still less, with the money that's generated, boxing is still the one sport that has not been. I think we need a national organization, somehow or another, And I know when I say this, people are going to say, "Oh, you're Donald Trump." No, I'm not a Donald Trump fan. That's not has nothing to do with it. We have a guy that's been involved in boxing as our president. He's made negotiated contracts. We negotiated contracts with him, so he knows the sport. I think we need some type of commission set up. Now, the state, I guess it starts with the state, then moves federally, or you can start federally and move down. But we need something mandated to make the sport. Now, I'm not looking at the safety standpoint because you can't change the safety. It's a risky sport.
Exactly.
It always has been. So
Exactly.
you're not going to change the risk of it.
Exactly.
But we need something that people can look at and understand that the sport of boxing is just like every other sport. Where the best fighter, okay, yeah, during the season, Sixers play the Mavericks, who's the losing team, right? And you kind of expect, but every once in a while, the Mavericks, the bottom team wins. Some nights, or in general, but the better teams are going to win. The Warriors are going to stomp them most of the time, but even the Warriors might lose some. You expect that during the season. We need a way in this, and that's why I said, if you eliminate this lightweight, superweight, whatever those, like you said, those different ones, if you eliminate that, make it to the point where these guys have to fight each other during the year for these massive paydays. You're going to see more fights during the year. You're going to see better fights during the year. And at the end of the year, somewhere, you're going to see two of the best or four of the best come to meet each other. Yeah. So, can you do that without a federal commission? Is it possible? What do you think? I mean, I don't see it because I know how greedy some of these promoters are, and they're not willing to get together. But professional boxers have needed a union for a long time.
They need oversight.
Oh, yeah, they need oversight. That's the word. That's the word, Harris.
Absolutely.
Oversight.
They need oversight.
They need oversight.
And every league has oversight.
Yeah.
If you do something in one league, you find, and we can't leave it up to the individual commissions of each state because, then you have malfeasance and, a lot of states have, their hand in the cookie jar. There's different things at state that are outside of the governing bodies and all of that type of stuff. And, now that we have gambling that is really heavily back involved in sports,
that's scary to me.
Unfortunately, it really is.
That's very scary.
It really is.
That's very scary.
And it's very obvious the impact of gambling on sports.
We should say legalized gambling.
Yeah, legalized gambling, exactly. And the impact of it was realized right away. Anybody that's a sports fan, not just boxing, but if you just watch some of the things that went on with the NFL, the Saints game,
the referees standing right there, and he's I didn't see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right in front of you. What was you looking up here this way?
30 million people saw it, but you didn't see it. And the impact is undeniable, and so I think there does have to be federal oversight to give boxing any chance, and I think that's a lot of what the fans are demanding because there's just too much. We see it sometimes, and because you and I are indoctrinated into the sport media, yeah, that's boxing, but we see people get robbed all the time, where they just say, for whatever reasons, and it's mainly because of where the fight is held, and we know
a lot of times,
it's where the fight is held, and somebody will lose a decision that they obviously won the fight when it went to the scorecards, and so when you have a federal oversight. At least there's something that can be looked at in terms of, the commission said they reviewed this, the federal commission, and, that wasn't right. You know what I'm saying? That even if they don't overturn it, it makes the fans feel better that, it was rectified in terms of, initiative. They came forward and said, we were wrong on that, or whatever, and that's kind of what happened with the NFL. They came back on a couple of calls and said,
the call should have been made,
they missed that. So
but the guy that lost the money betting on it, he don't get his money back.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
But this is the thing about it, and it's funny you should say that. And we know we've seen some bad decisions in boxing. I've yet to see the sanctioning bodies. At least maybe I missed it. I don't know, but I've never heard the sanctioning bodies come back and say the judge blew it. Maybe I missed it. And I'm going to ask, as we're recording this now, and if you're watching this, I'm going to give you an email address that you can send to, right? That if you can name one fight that you know that they came back where the officials said, hey, well, we blew it.
Sure.
The judges were wrong.
Sure.
Send it to my roroboxing12@yahoo.com. That's my email address. roroboxing12@yahoo.com. Or you can send it to the provides.
ProvideTV.com. Just go to ProvideTV.com and leave us a message.
Leave us a message on there. Because, I
Mhm.
mean, and tell us, who do you think at this point, right now, is the biggest draw in boxing? Who do you think at this point is I guess I should say the biggest draw, but in each division, let's put it like that. Let's get a list of each division. Say who, and we're going to limit it just pretty much to the names of Canelo Alvarez, Errol Spence, Keith Thurman, Terrence Crawford, Golovkin, Wilder, Fury, Joshua. We'll leave it there because those are I guess the 8 big names right now. Everyone can't forget Lomachenko because I still think outside of the rest of those guys, he may be the clearest, most purebred, talented fighter in the game right now. So I mean, but then again, provide.com, ProvideTV.com.
ProvideTV.com.
Or roroboxing12@yahoo.com.
Absolutely.
Send us what you think about that.
Absolutely.
The Hall of Fame is coming up. 2 of our friends are being inducted, Don Baum, in the International Boxing Hall of Fame. And this is the big one, guys. This is not a state.
Yes.
This is not a city.
This is
the
Hall of Fame.
Boxing Hall of Fame. Don Baum, and probably one of the greatest warriors to me in the sport of boxing.
Absolutely.
Ever.
Absolutely.
Is Iran Barkley.
Absolutely.
Here was a guy, and we talked about the weight divisions and everything else. Iran fought him Iran fought him. He went this way. He never went down.
That's the truth.
The guy went up.
That's the truth.
He took on all comers. Even got his title back. They robbed him. As far as I'm concerned, the fight with Iran I thought was horrible. But at the same time, he was in the ring with a legend at the time himself.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? When it never was a guy, I think it was DeWitt, or was it that what we was with? We were in New York. No, Schoolboy Van Horn. I'll always remember that fight. We were in the Foreman in the Garden, and I was never more happier for Iran that time when he won the title because guess what? He won the title. Then he went on to fight Tommy Hearns. Who else was it? Reggie Hill, did he fight Reggie? No, Tommy Hearns fought Reggie Hill. But anyway, all I know is that after he won the title, I looked up on Tonight's show. That was Iran Barkley.
Wow.
Iran Barkley was on the Tonight Show.
Wow.
Now, if it ever was a guy you was happy for in the sport, it's him.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's him. So,
Absolutely.
Congratulations to
Absolutely.
Iran. You know him personally like I do,
Yeah.
and you've known him for a long time.
Yeah.
So, what's your opinion of
Man,
the Blade, as I should say?
Yeah.
And we've interviewed him, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, we have it. Yeah, you'll be
have
seeing
the interview
that.
on the Provide Network.
Yeah, his whole life story.
Whole life story, yeah.
That was a great interview too.
Yeah, it was.
But I'm just so happy for him. He took the time out yesterday to call me, and I had my wife actually saw it on the news, and she told me Iran is going into the Hall of Fame, and I was like, wow, okay. So the next day, I text his wife Pamela, and I just said, congratulations. Tell Iran I said congratulations or whatever, and I knew at some point he would call.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
I
you
know how
said
that
that.
is. Yeah.
You said he was going to give you a call.
Yeah, but I know how it is, when all of this stuff is happening, there's a lot of press and stuff like that, you're talking, this is world press,
Yeah.
That's how big this is. And so, I knew that once the smoke cleared, I'd probably hear from him in a couple of days because I knew he would want me to come.
Yeah.
And so, but he called me yesterday.
That's
and
good.
he said, man, I'm just so happy, man. And, you coming,
Yeah.
And I said, I'm going to try to get up there, man, for that. I'm trying to get up there.
Well, he's also the uncle of the great running back for the New York
Yeah,
Giants, Saquon Barkley, I think his name.
yeah.
And I'm a Cowboy fan. I'm not holding it against you, Saquon. but congratulations to the Barkley family. And Iran created a good legacy for Saquon, as far as I'm concerned, to live into
Yeah.
the Barkley name,
Yeah.
and that's a great thing.
Right.
Don Elbaum, anybody that's been involved in the sport of boxing, Don Elbaum has probably made more champions than anybody in the sport.
Right.
He's been in. Nobody even know how old Don Elbaum is. I've been trying to figure for the longest. The guy looks young every time you see him, but I know he's been around. He says he's been around promoting since he was 18 years of age. I'm just not sure what that means. 18 years when Don, how old are you now? But he's been promoting a long time. Again, he's been in every state, every city, local Hall of Fame, Pennsylvania, wherever else.
Yeah.
But he's made it. But I'm so happy for him now, finally, to see that he's made the International Boxing Hall of Fame. I'm not sure who else is going in this
You
year.
know who's going in? Curry.
Donald Curry.
Donald
Another
Curry.
one. Okay, the
Yeah.
coach. And I talked to him. I speak to him, and he hadn't told me yet. I'll give him a call to make sure of that. But anyway, I want to say congratulations. I think it's June. What is it? June
6th through the 9th.
6th through the 9th. And if you get a chance to, call the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Ed Barofi is the president and runs the place up there. But contact the International Boxing Hall of Fame. Go if you want to get tickets that weekend to go and see it. It's a great event. It's a great affair. It's 3 days, like you said, it's 3 days,
Mhm.
and some of everybody
gonna
in the
be
game
there.
is going to be there. So if you
Absolutely.
never had a chance to go, please go.
Absolutely.
And this is memorable. That's a
Absolutely.
memorable.
Want to
event.
definitely thank Don Elbaum, because without Don Elbaum, my late fighter Steve Little would have never had an opportunity to fight in front of his home crowd, his hometown in Reading. And that was the first world title fight ever in Reading history.
Wow.
At the Reading Stadium, televised on ESPN.
Wow.
And Don Elbaum did that for us.
Okay.
And
And a lot of other fighters.
Yeah,
He-
absolutely,
so many.
absolutely.
Every fighter coming up, because he ran the Tropicana fights for years.
Exactly, exactly,
So
exactly.
and Don, like you said, Don was the king of boxing.
Absolutely.
Don King had the name.
Yes.
But Don Elbaum was the king
absolutely.
of boxing.
Don out hustled everybody.
Everybody, he did. Yes. And to this day, he's still doing the
Yeah,
same
absolutely.
thing. So if you got a young fighter, you need one of the best matchmakers ever in the game of sport of boxing.
Absolutely.
We want to thank you guys for tuning in and watching this, and thank you for coming to our home this week. As I said, we're doing this from our home, which is really was kind of relaxing, because we really got a chance to talk about it in a way that like we wanted to do.
Absolutely.
So Harris, until we see everybody next time,
Yes.
thank you for tuning to Provide and the Foreman Boxing Magazine, and we will see you at the fights.